Hi, welcome back to Pokemon Battle Python tutorial. So today we're going to add some text in our game screen, as well as some health bars, and time permitting we can add some damage mechanics. Without further ado, let's do that. I feel like still I need to kind of explain this while a little bit more, so I'll incorporate that as well. So to display any text anywhere in the game screen, we need to define a font. So what kind of font are you going to use, right? So this is a variable here. A font. I'm going to comment here first and define a variable. And we're going to use Pygame font function. And there's a system font you can define in here. So it takes the name of the font as well as the size. So notice that there's no color defined here. So in terms of color, we do it in the render function. So here let's define it first. So times New Roman, for example, and size is 30. So I'm going to add it here, size 30. So what happens if you move these files to a different PC and that PC doesn't have this font? So then it will default into whatever default font it is, but it will be kind of not great looking. So it's best to choose the most common font, not like really unique one, unless you're providing with the files here. If you look up in Google, how do you print text in Python, it will show you something like print uh, hello world or something. That's the first thing you do when you learn a language, programming language, that is. Um, let's run this. And you see there's no text displayed on our screen, but instead, if you go to your terminal here, hello world is being displayed 60 times per second. That is because we have put this line inside this while loop here. So we have defined the frame rate, 60 pictures per second, and this is basically every frame. So this is being put out here 60 times per second. So we need to be careful what we write inside this while loop. So if there's any image update, something like that, we can display it here. But otherwise, if you just want to do it once, let's say print hi, like that, then see what happens. I'm going to delete this here and see what happens. Then it just says hi once because it's just running once here, and then the game is kind of stuck in this loop. It will continue to do so until you exit out the game. So that's kind of how while works, any loop works. So then how do you put a message on your game screen? Not here. I don't want any message in the terminal. I want text in our actual game. To do this, we have to use screen blit again. Anything that updates the screen is related to this function here. And we have to put in a variable and the coordinate. So let's define a temporary variable here, temporary text message. We're going to use the font we defined up there. And the render function, this is where you can choose your color and such. So this input here, we take the string, so basically the message you want to display, and true or false in terms of anti-aliasing. So if it's true, it will be looking more smooth. And then the color value. So here, let's just write welcome for now, and then smooth text. And then we have to choose a color here. We cannot write black here because it says color value. So if you go to Google and search black and its color value, you see that it's 30. So this is a color, and up there, that's a font size. Okay, so these are different. So if you do this, then let's see. There is a missing thing here. Oh, I didn't even put, so variable must be put inside here, and then I have to put a coordinate 0, 0. So if you do this, it displays welcome here, but as I said, this is basically 60 times per second. All these are being displayed 60 times per second. Um, so how do you kind of see, uh, I'm going to just show you here. Let's define the temporary variable and define it as 0. This is first running frame 0. And how about each time this runs, frame increases by 1. And I'm going to display something here. Instead of welcome, I'm going to write frame. And I'm going to take that variable and display it here. In order to reference a variable, you have to write a little f here. Then it will display correctly. And if you run this, you can see that the frame increases by 60 per second. So this goes on until you quit the game. So yeah, so that's how loop works repeatedly until you quit the game. So if you look at the code now, I see a little redundancy here. Let's say this is okay because loading background and text box, it's just 2. But if you think about loading, I don't know, 800 Pokemon, there's going to be the same thing of 800. So it's not a really efficient way to create these. And also, this one right here, every time we display some kind of text in our game screen, we have to define a variable and do it like that. So this is quite not that efficient. So we're going to kind of refine it here. And first, I'm going to delete these temporary ones. So when I display a text message, I want something like this. For example, display message, you know, uh, here, like wild Raichu appeared. Then it's quite easy, right? But we don't have this function in Pygame here. So if you want to build your own function, this is what we're going to do now. So something like that we're going to do. So we have to create a function, and we're going to make it here. So functions. First, let's create the display text message in our game screen. We're going to define it as define. This is a new function that I'm making right now. Display text, like that. So this is not in the text box, actually. So I'll rename this draw text, actually. And then what goes in the text box, I'm going to define it in a different way. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the same function here, but let's keep it this way. As a parameter, this function requires what kind of text you're going to display, and as well as font. Font, we're going to just use one here. And color. Color may be different depending on the background. You may want white or black. And then also, it requires a coordinate, a position. This is how you define a function. So, you draw a text using these parameters. So within this function, I'm going to define a variable here. Let's say the same thing that we did before, like that, render, and get that text, and then anti-aliasing is going to be true, and color, let's just put it like that. And then we're going to use the screen blit, like that, and then that image from that variable, and we need the coordinates, x and y. Alright, so I guess we are only using one font here, so this is okay. And color, it kind of depends on what you do. So how do you use this function? We kind of create a really tiny, cute function here. So then we can call this function by saying draw text. And in the parameter, all we have to do is write some text here, welcome, like that. And then the next parameter is color. So I'm going to create a black 30 there, and the coordinate 0, 0. If you run the game now, you'll see that welcome message is displayed at 0, 0 coordinate, just like before. The only difference is that we created our own function, what's called draw text, and just by putting one line, we are able to do this without creating a variable each time. So now, in order to create the UI, which contains name, the health bar, which is green, and current HP status with the maximum health points and the current health points. So those are kind of 3 to 4 elements per Pokemon. So if you're not changing forever, it's fine. But later on, if you want to change the positions of that, then you'll have to find each individual line responsible for those elements. And you'll have to change the coordinates repeatedly. So that's kind of not efficient if you think about longevity of the software or your game. Typically, so when they're kind of grouped together, it's kind of considered as one set, one identity, and that's what we call classes. So instead of doing this 6 times, trying to figure out the coordinates and all that, instead of that, we're going to create a set of variables. So those are classes again. So here I'm going to create a little comment here function. This is display in-game text. And we're still going to use that later. And then we're going to create our first class here, UI. So this is responsible for name, health points, and health points bar. So I'm going to display a percentage, or maybe not percentage. I'll do current out of max. So again, we're creating a class because the name and the health points and the values for the health, the current status, like health 10 out of 200, those kind of texts and bars are grouped together. So when it's a group, we tend to create in class so that it's easier to kind of change later. So when you make a class, you use a name here like that. But before constructing this, let's put it this way. So class is like a vending machine with, you put a coin and then sometimes you type in a code. For example, I want Lay's chips. You type in 100 and then you get what you want depending on the code. If it's like Reese's, type in 110 and you get that item. So basically, it's like that. So each product, Reese's or Lay's, those will have its own number, and it's not just one. It's a set of numbers. So it's a set. It's a group of variables. In that case, we tend to use class. And when you construct the class, in Python, you have to do it this way. So it's kind of, I would say it's not a restriction, but it has its own style. So each language is different, and Python works it this way. So this is like initialization. So each class needs some sort of initialization, and you put in whatever you want here. So draw UI, what element is important? So to me, what's important is if it's mine, it has to be displayed below. If it's enemies, it has to be displayed on top. So faction is quite important, whether it's my Pokemon or not. And also, it will have its own name. Each Pokemon will have its name, and current HP and max HP. So those are really important ones. Also, on top of that, every first parameter in initialization, conventionally you type it self. So what is this? So when you call in these variables and use this draw UI, you're kind of storing a group of variables into some sort of variable. So for example, what I mean by that is, let's say player UI is kind of assigned using faction. If it's mine, let's say it's 0, and name, let's say my Pokemon is Raichu. What's the current HP? Let's say 200 out of 200. So we're gonna create a variable based on this class here. Again, class makes a group of variables and put it in to this basket right here. So then all these parameters, if we do not include self, will be all lost. So all these must be stored somewhere per Pokemon. So this is per each Pokemon. It's saying that. So therefore, this self is really important, and this is kind of like how Python works as well, so we have to kind of get used to it. For each 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters, we have to save it. Otherwise, all these will be lost. So we're simply saying under the self basket, I'm going to store all these. So let's just repeatedly do this. Self HP is HP. I'm simply storing it under self. And this is how Python works. Like that. So any class you make, we need initialization, and that must include self in order to use these parameters. And the reason you take these parameters is because you want to use it later, right? So here I'm going to show you how to actually draw. So let's draw. So this draw and this draw is different. This is just displaying text in general. This draw is drawing UI. I'm just simply drawing the health bar, name, and HP, right? This is a different one. And I'm going to take self as a parameter because under this class, there's going to be self. So I'm going to access this variable here. And if it's a player, I'm going to make a little comment. If player, then top position. Bottom position. So we're going to access faction here. So here I'm going to consider 0 as me. So if faction is 0, that's me, then where are you going to display this health bar? So I don't know yet. So I have to test things out. So I'm just going to say, I don't know, 0, or maybe like 500. I'm not sure. Why 500? So it'll be a random position somewhere in the screen. And if it's not my Pokemon, where do you want this to be? Which is the enemy UI. So I'm just going to put it in the random position again here. So then we have the coordinates for the health bar and the names and such. And then based on that coordinate, we're going to draw text. So we're just going to display name for now. So let's see the position, and then we can add some things later. And then if you look back, it takes in a color. So how about we do 33 as white. So let's try that for now. And then X and Y is coming from these ones here. So it's going to be either 500, 500 or 0, 0. There's going to be a colon here. So then, just like we made a variable, so we have to create for Charizard as well. This is going to be enemy UI. We're creating a variable, group of variables basically with draw UI. This is going to be enemy. This is going to be Charizard. And yeah, this is just like health. So let's try that for now. So we have created a variable here. And if you go below in the main while run has nothing to do with these, so we have to call them. So let's call load UI, and then we can call these player UI dot. Under this we have a draw function, so draw something like that, and then enemy UI dot draw like that. So if you run this, you see Charizard and Raichu at a little random place. So I don't want the health bar to be there. So instead of this 500 position here, maybe we can do something different. Let's close it, and let me just test things out and tell you the conclusion. So after some testing, I figured out our player position. It's going to be 575, 485, and with enemy UI position, 150, 100. And also I noticed that the white here doesn't work. I think it only sometimes works. I've tested this in a different example. So in this case, we'll just make it white by just adding RGB colors here. So any color has an RGB value. You can just put it in here instead of the color here. So notice that if you put just white here, it doesn't recognize it. And 33, that's the code number for white. I don't think it always works. So with here, then you can see the position of Charizard and Raichu, and we can add the health bars and the remaining HP accordingly right below. So right below the name, I'm going to create a comment here that this is putting out the Pokemon name, and this is going to be the health bar. And how I'm kind of seeing this is I would like the bar to decrease as HP gets reduced. So I'm going to put a red bar first, then I'm going to superimpose a green bar. So red bar always is going to be 100%, so it's always going to be there. And the green bar kind of decreases so that it's kind of intuitive to tell the green is what's left and red is what's missing. So to achieve that, we need some ratio information. So we can take the self current HP divided by self max HP. Then you get the ratio. But if you think about it, right at the last turn, I don't want the HP to be like going negative or something like that. So current HP cannot be negative. So I'm going to put a little safety net here by doing a max function. Basically, at most, this is going to output 0, not negative. So that's just kind of like a safety net here. And then I'm going to draw the rectangle. And how do you draw a rectangle? Pygame actually has this function, draw rect function. And you can kind of see what kind of parameter it's going to take. So here, the surface is actually where are you putting this. So this refers to the screen here on top. So we're displaying everything on this screen variable. So the first variable here would be screen. And then it takes the color information, and then it takes the coordinates, and then the size, basically. So let's do that. So screen, we're drawing a rectangle in that variable here, and then the color, color at first is red, RGB, so R is going to be 255, 0, 0. That's the color. And then rect value, this is going to be basically the coordinates where this starts. So I don't want this to start right there. So here, there's going to be x and y value. So x value is going to be the same. Let me put it in the bracket here. X is going to be the same. How about the font is 30? How about we put like 40 here and go from there? And then the size, I don't know, probably 300-ish. And then I don't want this to be really thick. I want this to be kind of slim and nice. So maybe like 15, 10, maybe to 10. Okay, so that's the red one, and I'm gonna draw a green one on top. So RGB, so this is gonna be 0, and this is gonna be 255. And then we're gonna change this one right here, 300. It's not gonna be static. So this one, green one, kind of changes depending on what's left. So this will be a 300 times ratio. Then, you know, if it's 10% left, it's going to be just 10% there. It will draw the remaining health. So if you want some kind of memo here, this is the green, remaining HP, health points. And here, it's going to be red, full, always full HP. Full HP means like what's missing, it's going to be displayed in red. And then right below the health bar, I want the HP, remaining HP and numbers. So health points, it's not a bar, so it's just HP then. Then this is just a text. So I'll use this again. It's just a text message in-game. And I don't want name there. This is a Pokemon name. I want something else. Here, I want something like HP is something. So something, I'm going to refer to this as a variable. And I don't want any decimal places or anything. So how about we use the int function, integer. It's going to be always a whole number. This is going to be the remaining HP. Remaining HP there. And like that. And how about we do max HP right next below. That should be quite okay. If you don't like it, we can always change it. So max HP. Like that. I can put a space around here. If you're referring to a variable inside this string here, we have to put an F right there. So this is how they do it, and it's going to be white in color, and the position of Y is going to be a little different. I'm going to do bars a little kind of really narrow, so maybe like that. Maybe we can do 12 here. Okay, we'll see, and then we'll adjust accordingly. All right, so let's run and see what the positions are. It's looking pretty nice here, but if you don't like the positions, you can always adjust accordingly. And also here, there's no way of telling what's missing. They're all in full health. So let's test out the red bars as well. So Raichu, 20 missing, and Charizard, 100 missing. If you change the values there and run it again, you can see the red bars here and there. So if you don't like red, you can change it to yellow. RGB values can be found online quite easily. Okay, to wrap up our video, we're going to do one last thing. We're going to add some in-game text inside the text box in our screen. So anything in our screen, it's going to be updated and such. Although it is a background, we must put it inside the game. If you put it outside, there's going to be some issues. So here, I would like to draw some message. Actually, it's here. So this is going to be temporary welcome message. This is temporary because Pokemon is a text-based game after all. So our ultimate goal is to, to create multiple message. For example, welcome, you click, move on to the next message. What will Raichu do? And then display some buttons. You click, and then it does the move and goes to the opponent's turn and displays text again. So yeah, there's gonna be some kind of complicated message system in the end, but right now I would just like to see where the text will sit. So let's draw text here, and let's write our message. Welcome to Pokemon Battle, like that. And then we have to give some color here. Let's do, since this is black background, let's do white, like that. And then we have to give the coordinates. The coordinates, there's a text box and there's a little dent on each side, so I would put like 80 or something. And then 720 is where the text box begins, so about 750. Let's test that out first. So if I do this, you'll be able to see the message in the box, like that. I don't like the high contrast here, the black and white. It's just too bright for me. So I would like to make a little background uh, right behind the text box. So I'm going to draw a rectangle so that it's not so blinding. And I'm going to change the text font color into black. So I'm going to change this to black, 0, 0, 0. That's black. And before loading the text box, I would like to draw a rectangle. So how to draw a rectangle? It's in Pygame. It's a rect function. It's draw rect. Draw rect. Okay, like that. And where do you draw? We're updating the screen. So in the screen. And then if you look at the color information, I opened the file and, if I open this background, I can't do it right now. I'll explain a little bit later. So 75, 117, 155, that's the color. And then I have to give position information. So it will start 1720, that's the starting point where the rectangle starts. And how big? 1080 by 230. So if I run this, oh, it's actually pretty perfect. So look at that. So the ground here, it's a little teal color. So I can extract that RGB value, and I used the 775, 117, 155 right there. And then, yeah, the black text goes well. It's not hard for your eyes. So you can find this out quite simply. Open your background information. This is MS Paint. And you go to Color Picker and choose the ground here, where really the ground here. And if you select it, it gives you a color information. So if you click Edit Colors, it gives you 63, 107, 134, around those colors. So if you put in those values, then yeah, you're extracting the RGB for that. So yeah, this tutorial ends here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.